Like, where are we in the market cycle? Are we early into this market cycle? Are we late into this market cycle? If we're early into this market cycle, then it's definitely not the start of alt season, like a real alt season, because the real alt season also marks the end of the bull market. And from a psychological perspective, we know that. Now, let me explain to you why I said that. Why does it mark the end of the bull market? The reason it marks the end of a bull market is because we've got a lot of aggressive speculation coming in when Bitcoin dominance drops down. When Bitcoin dominance drops down, people are selling their Bitcoin and buying altcoins. The only reason you would sell your safe cryptocurrency and buy the risky cryptocurrency is because you're greedy as fuck and you want to make some money. And you want to make a lot of money. And it's clear, like, this has been going on throughout Bitcoin's history. Right? We've got Bitcoin overlaid on this chart. What is the absolute top for Bitcoin? It comes literally a month after dominance bottoms out. So here's what happened back here, and I'll show this to you on another chart. We'll look at total 2 on this chart right here. And if we look at the same point in history, 1 week, this is getting very cluttered, but you're gonna understand what I mean in just a moment here. We go back to the previous rally for Bitcoin. What am I looking at? Oh, this is total 2. That's why I got confused. So that's going to be over here. And the bear market started when Bitcoin dominance bottomed. Or in other words, altcoins were raging. They were raging after Bitcoin topped. Yeah, this is Bitcoin's top right here on this line. And that's the biggest candle gain. The biggest candle gain for altcoins, 73% in 1 month, happened on the same month that Bitcoin bottomed out, at the same time that Bitcoin dominance crashed down. So the reason that we see Bitcoin dominance coming down, because people buy altcoins instead of Bitcoin, is because we are speculating to the most extreme degree. It is the most extreme representation of speculation in these markets. What does that mean? It means people are getting really greedy. People are getting really aggressive. Nobody is selling. Everybody wants that extra 10% pump to buy that extra thing. Somebody asked me earlier, what is it like in the euphoric stage of a bull market? It means that you're up massively and you're thinking about the future purchases you're going to make and you're blind to reality. Nothing can convince you that you're wrong because you made so much money. The money hasn't been locked in, but it's yours for now. And that's what happens at these stages. That's what happens when Bitcoin dominance comes down, altcoins go up, you're at the end of the market cycle. You're at the end of the market cycle. That's the most important part here. Because how does this relate to the current market? Now, if we bring it back to Bitcoin dominance's chart over here, and we take a look at where we are right now, if this is the big drop, take a look at this, right? The big drop happened over here. It triggered over here. Bitcoin's bear market started over here. I mean, you had how long? You had 300 days, which is admittedly a very long time, but it was basically the whole year of 2021, which we remember. Many of us were here for that. Smash up the likes, by the way, if you're finding this useful. Double check that you're subscribed. Like I said, brilliant exchange right here. If you want to be able to trade these markets, you get exclusive chart updates from the team as well. And we've got our incredible one-to-one package right here. It is a 12-week program. Nobody has ever failed to pay off the results within a couple of weeks of joining. Super, super cool stuff. Check all that out if you're interested. The exchanges if you're not from a restricted region. You had a period of time, but that marked the end of the bull market. Because bear in mind, Bitcoin was trending up from here or here, depending on how you define it. Yeah, and there's different ways to define it. Yesterday I defined it like that, but realistically it's probably from here. It doesn't matter if I defined it like that. My point would have been the same yesterday. I just did that because it was easier. But this was the absolute low and this was the absolute high for Bitcoin, right? And so for most of that time, Bitcoin dominance is actually gaining strength, or at least kind of staying steady. But at the end, Bitcoin dominance drops really hard. Everybody's speculating on altcoins. Everybody's buying altcoins and dropping their Bitcoin. And that is what causes the end of the bull market. Because then eventually what happens? How does a bull market end? Maybe we're curious about that. The way a bull market ends is you get so much retail pushing it so aggressively to the upside nobody's selling, and we believe that it's going to go on forever. But because nobody's selling, eventually a seller is going to step in. And when the seller steps in, they're going to be a big seller. They're going to be a long-time holder, maybe a miner, maybe an institution, maybe a fund, maybe anything. And when they start dumping, the market is going to feel that. Because the reality is that at the late stages of the bull market, it doesn't take that much money to keep pumping the price up by another 2x, by another 4x, by another 8x, by another 10x. It doesn't take a lot to do it at the late stage of a bull market because nobody's selling. But as soon as they start selling, ladies and gents, the market feels it heavy. The market feels it heavy, ladies and gents. Look at XRP right here. This is 2017. We're on the weekly chart. We're going to replay this down to over here and put this on the 4-hour time frame so you can see this up close as if you were living it. The market takes it seriously. How do I remove this, man? Market takes it seriously. Look at this drop. From that all-time high that XRP set, which it's also kind of like at the same price as right now, which is really funny. It saw a 73% drop. It lost 3/4 of its value. Please understand. $3.30 down to 90 cents. What is this? 88 cents. $3.30. I mean, you can't understand what that means unless you live in a country like Turkey, Venezuela, you know, the countries that have had, you know, hyperinflation. It won't make sense. You're still holding the same number of XRP, but now you get 25 cents on the dollar. You got fucked, bro. You got wrecked. You got wrecked, and it only took 9 days. I'm sorry, I got the time frame wrong. It took 13 days. My bad. You know, and like, imagine living through this. You're down 30% in one day. It recovers. You have a glimmer of hope. And then the next day, you're down 33% again. It's nearly halved. 44% down. That's how a bear market hits. You know what I mean? And that happens because that dominance has been rising. People have been buying altcoins at the late stages of these bull markets. Nobody's selling. As soon as you start getting sellers in, you're done. You're done. Like, really quick. You're done really quick. So that's how market cycles end. Now we bring it back to your question about... Smash up the likes, by the way, if you're finding this useful. Love all the support, guys. Thank you all so much. Been watching the subscribers tick up as well. You guys are amazing. If you're new to the channel, smash them up. Definitely subscribe if you haven't done so already. And... you know, if we bring this back to Bitcoin dominance now and see what Bitcoin dominance is saying, you know, like, you are, whether you understand it or not, from a logical perspective, from a historic perspective, you are clearly saying that if Bitcoin dominance drops down and we trigger a big alt season, we get a big drop in Bitcoin dominance, you can't have that without also ending the bull market. So what was the first thing I said? It depends on market cycles. Where are we in the market cycle? Is this early or is this late stage market cycle? This is one of the big things that we discussed on this video here. If you haven't watched it, pause the video now and watch that video. It's 40 minutes long. It's a deep dive. This is about money. This is about money. You've got 40 minutes to spare. Do I even need to say that? Do you know what? If I need to say it to you, then don't fucking watch it. But if you're serious about your money, this is a big one. This is a big video, and we're covering this subject that I'm just describing now in a lot more detail. Are we late stage or are we early stage bull market? Well, if we're early stage, we can't have an alt season like that. Because an alt season like that invariably also means the end of the bull market. Because of how greedy the market gets and how unsustainable those rallies are. Understand, ladies and gents. Please understand this. When you get big enough drops, and when those drops come quick enough, like what we saw over here, it's not recoverable. Yeah, you've got, like, market participants have enough reason to be scared shitless out of this market. They've just lost 82% of their money in a month. Yeah, what if you were all in? What if you sold your asset? I mean, you know, look, these are dramatic examples, but a lot of people live them. Especially people who buy coins like XRP. Especially people who buy coins like Solana. Like, a lot of people have these stories. They're going to leave. You know, like, that frenzy, the last stage, the last month, bear in mind, it tops out, what, early January? It's rallying throughout December. Bitcoin tops out, like, here. This is where Bitcoin tops out. That's its all-time high at 20K. This is a lot of retail entering. Yes, there's not a lot of buying volume, but these people don't have a lot of money. They're buying up here. You know, like, they don't have long to secure their profits, and all they've heard for the last few months are how their friends got rich without them. They're not going to sell straight away. It's market psychology, ladies and gents. I understand if you haven't lived through it. I understand if you haven't paid attention to it the last time. But if you sit and think about it, you can reason your way through this. You can reason your way through how this works. You don't have to be somebody that has lived through this. I preach that a lot on this YouTube channel. Yeah, I don't care if you're new. This is your chance to make money. You can't fuck this up. It's a good bull market. We're in a good bull market. We're in a good bull market. You can't fuck this up. You've got to play your cards right. And if you're still making beginner level mistakes, if you're still making silly mistakes that you know you shouldn't be making, it's time to firm up, brother. It's time to firm up, brother. Yeah? If you're still making mistakes that you shouldn't be making, if you're stuck on the same issues, you know what I mean? No, not now. Pick up a damn book. Yeah? I put these books in the description. Get into our coaching program, our one-to-one program with 100% incredible results. Get in there. It's a serious investment, but if it sounds like it works for you, jump in. Get on LevX. See the exclusive chart updates we're sending in. Check out your country's local laws and regulations. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's where we really need to be focusing on. You know, like, forget the paid stuff. Just Google resources. You're resourceful. You know how, speak to forget resources, actually. Just speak to ChatGPT. You don't even have to do anything too crazy. Just get on voice conversation mode with ChatGPT. If you're in North America, you can literally dial 1-800-CHAT-GPT. I'm serious. Try it out. Dial 1-800-CHAT-GPT. It's a voice conversation mode. It's pretty crazy. And ask it questions. Learn what you need to know. Ask it what you need to know to survive a bull market and a bear market. The principles are there. People just don't exercise them. You'll be different if you exercise them. That's the bottom line. Back to Bitcoin dominance. What does that mean? Like I said, that's why I don't think that we're done with Bitcoin dominance. Like, this doesn't mean that, we're going to be seeing a massive rip for Bitcoin dominance. I think it's possible, but it doesn't mean we'll see that. We don't have to get above this high over here at 66%. We could also just do something like this for the next few months. That would be enough. What is the real estate cycle? I don't know, dude. I don't know. But that's my take on that. Smash up the likes if you found that useful. Subscribe, tick the bell to all the good stuff. That's it. Yep.